This is a very, very special edition of the Founders Roulette for two reasons. First one is the first one that I'm doing it live. Usually is in conference call. And the second one, normally I always interview people that I know from before. And this time I just met my guest. And so I'm very curious to know, Michael, who you are, what do you do, what you have been doing in the last 20 years of your very diverse, I must say, career. And I give you a minute, and then we go to my casino and we spin the roulette.
Amazing. First of all, Ricardo, thank you very much for the invitation. Indeed, on very short notice, but great pleasure to be here in the beautiful Bolzano at the Slush'd conference. So maybe just a quick background of myself. I'm born and raised in Germany, in Munich, and then
on the other side of the Alps.
Just on the other side of the
Alps.
It's just a rough, depending on the traffic, about 3.5 hours of ride. And then after my studies, came to Berlin to join two guys to build a social networking site called StudiVZ, which we then at the time actually built into the largest and most traffic social network in continental Europe, and essentially in the 2000s brought social media to Europe.
Right.
And then in 2007 sold the company in one of the largest tech exits in Germany of that year. Then 2 years later, I left to build a new company called Rebate Networks, where we globally rolled out daily deal websites.
For e-commerce.
Yeah, for e-commerce, like discount voucher websites. That was like a holding to invest in or incubate these type of companies. Then in the companies we're involved, launched that in 30 countries, hired close to 10,000 people. And then after 2.5 years said this is too crazy, even in startup world. So then a lot of the companies were sold. Daily Deal in Europe was sold to Google, and a big part of the Asian companies were merged and then IPO'd in Australia.
Okay.
And then I founded an AI company in 2017, which was sold 3 years ago, and since then 50% active with Redstone. And Redstone I had the pleasure to co-found 12 years ago with Samuli, who was running it all the time. And we now are one of the most active VC investors, mainly in around Series A, seed Series A, sometimes Series B, in Europe, really investing pan-European.
And do you have a specific investment thesis, like the type of companies that you're chasing after, or it's great founders, great product, huge market potential. Okay.
No, but we indeed have. So I think we do a lot in the broader fintech and insurtech space. We're very active in the enterprise B2B space.
Okay.
Then do a lot in the deep tech and industrial space. We have a dedicated strategy for health and education, and then with especially here in the Alpine region, so from North Italy, Austria, Switzerland, Bavaria, and Baden-Württemberg, we have a dedicated vehicle and team that invests into that region because we think it's very promising, a very good combination of economic strength and of innovation and entrepreneurial talent.
And you can visit them. You just drive around.
Absolutely.
That's super interesting, and to me it's quite inspiring because if I look at your career, you've been doing different companies in different industries. So sometimes someone becomes specialized in one thing and in his entire career just develops new things over and over around that thing, while you've done a social network, you've done an AI company, so now you're a VC.
Well, I mean, after my first exit, I also invested a lot personally, so that was kind of a natural evolution.
Okay.
But with the AI company, it's like I have built, or not built myself, but with a larger team and with partners and co-founders, but two, in the end, very large consumer businesses And then I said, I want to do something which is super innovative and learn the enterprise and B2B space.
Okay.
And it's always, for me, entrepreneurship is also a path of learning.
Okay.
It's like, I'm super curious always. And so to learn new things, experience new things.
I have a million questions that I would ask you, but I can't, because what we have to do is to spin the roulette. So when you want...
This is also a first time. So now...
Yes. Okay. Whenever you want to... stop. Okay. Nice topic. It's the first time that comes up. Who do you build with? So, first of all, those topics are 30 topics that I wrote down during the 11 years when I was CEO of my company. And so every time there was something new coming up, something that I could reflect on, then I would note it down. And so those are actually CEO reflections, CEO topics. And obviously, for an entrepreneur, the role, for many entrepreneurs, the role of a co-founder is often crucial. What did you do? You started different companies. You did start them alone or with some co-founders? How did it work?
No, the first two actually consumer businesses with co-founders.
Okay.
Or actually the first one I joined when the company was founded. Basically,
Okay.
I joined as the two founders. The second one co-founded. Third one I was alone, and with Redstone I co-founded.
You certainly have a set of skills and that need someone with complementary.
I have lots of deficiencies.
Yeah, okay. Don't be humble. But what are the characteristics that you try to find in your co-founders, or the ones that you realized afterward, or these were the most important? This was the secret sauce.
I think it depends on the type of business, the phase of business. The phase of the company where it is, and the time, and also the companies. But you are as a person, and the other person is. I would say, independent of any specific skills, there are two things which I think are extremely important, and one is trust, and like a deep trust, because you do so many things and decisions, and obviously there is always some kind of conflicts. So you need that, and what also helps is a common set of values you agree on. Like a value system you're in. And if you have deep trust and a common value system you're building on, most of the time, I think you can find a solution to many of the topics and conflicts, and which is totally normal. So that was also something that I learned over time. And now, obviously, the more you're active, the better you know a lot of people. So by now, I'm building companies which I have known sometimes for decades, or also invest. I think it's actually even true the same is true when you invest into, or also if you hire and then you're building a team around it. And then so that's just like, this is more the softer one, and the other one is obviously also more harder facts, like where are you really good at, and where are you not good at. And I think one of the things that obviously, especially if you're an ambitious person, to be honest to yourself, where you're not good at and where you need help and support.
Yeah. And where you, in terms of skills, you try to start some of your companies with maybe a technical co-founder, or what was?
Yeah. So, for example, I'm originally from business background. I would say I by now understand quite a bit about technology, necessarily, and you can learn everything.
But I'm not a developer.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not a developer. Correct. So that's definitely something. I also, if you have companies. In general, I would say I'm more outgoing. I love people. I love sales. Business development. I also think I'm quite creative. But I'm also not. Even though I think I can do this, but am I the best person in the world to be CFO? Probably not. I'm also not a legal person, which is, for example, especially if you're in the investment background, you need good support there. And then you just look at what resonates well. Also, I think I'm like with this. What's interesting with Redstone, I think most of the VCs have to be quite visionary. But then also, when I invested personally, I maybe got carried away too easily and excited too easily. So now there's a framework where like you get structurally feedback from many different parties that then in combination you have a very good solution.
How many people work now at Redstone?
30 people, or a bit over 30.
30 people.
Yeah.
I think when they will watch this interview, they will really like this part where you explained that now the team, with the team, you make better decisions, and that they contribute to a part that maybe you don't have as an individual. I think that's super cool.
No, I mean, also venture capital in general, as inside a firm, but also as an industry, is very collaborative. And at least if I reflect on myself, I think now in a firm we structurally, consistently do much better decisions than if I would have to do them on my own. And it's sometimes painful because if you're convinced of something, but then also it's like what we say is, look, the question is, how convinced are you?
Yeah.
If you are like convinced and we think we need to do this, otherwise it's world end and we're missing the biggest opportunity of our lifetime, you need to fight for it. And I think if you feel that somebody is really fighting for something he strongly believes it's the opportunity of the century, you will probably agree to it. What you oftentimes find is people have a tendency, but then if somebody, whoever out of the team gives some pushbacks, then they also like retreat, and then that's exactly the type of stuff you don't want. You want to invest in companies, or you want to back people, you want to hire people where people are wholeheartedly kind of convinced about.
For sure. And I will ask you one question that I was asked during I asked this question already to some guests, but it makes me very curious every time. And this was a question that I was asked during my very first job interview when I got hired as an intern right after uni. And the person that then hired me, he said, "Riccardo, you are on holiday with your group of friends. You just went out drinking and dancing, and then to go back to your hotel, there is a train. And you go to the station, and there is the last train of the night. One goes to the left side, and one goes to the right side. You believe that you have to take the train that goes left to go back home, and everyone else in your group decides to take the train to go right. What do? You go left by yourself, or you go with the others to the right? You are absolutely convinced that you have to go left."
If I'm absolutely convinced, first of all, I would talk to the people and I would try to understand the reasoning behind it. If I don't see a good reason, I would go to the left. Okay. If I'm 100% convinced, I think it's
Okay, it's super interesting, no? And if I think about the people that I asked this question before, some told me, I think maybe you and just one other person said, no, we'll go to the left, I will go by myself. But there was another one that I think really represents the typical modern entrepreneur who said, I will convince everyone else to go to the left with me. Till they're not convinced, I will just continue trying to convince them.
I mean, ideally, what you would probably do I would clarify. So I think there is one is depending on how late it is and how desperate I want to go to sleep.
Okay.
There's also the element of doing something in the group. Mm-hmm. So probably I would say I'm really against it. I would try to convince them. If I don't manage, I would say I still go with the group as an experience perspective. Okay. So because
it's not an easy question. It's not
no. It's like that's why I think the question is how severe is the outcome. If it's just okay, it takes an hour later, but it's also an experience.
Then sleep out.
Yeah. Yes. Then I would go with the group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But more for the experience than for and for the comradeship than for the result.
And also so that the day after you have the opportunity to tell them, I told you.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but I think I agree with you. If the price to pay is just we have to sleep out, we're gonna go back to the hotel tonight, then I would also go with them. If it's a business, if you translate this to business and it's a severe business impact, then maybe you are.
I think like basically most of the successful entrepreneurs, managers, actually people in many different fields, even in sports, in music, have gone against the common wisdom very strongly. Because that's, I think it's like you need to be able and willing to take the pressure to not go with everybody else. And there's a very good saying that actually in investing and also building a startup is oftentimes a very lonely path and decision, because you essentially go against the opinion of everybody else.
If I completely agree. If I think about myself as a CEO, one thing that in my opinion, I didn't do well was that I always wanted to make a lot of people around me happy. And maybe I was not convinced of something, but I was like, okay, I hired this person, so I need to give him or her the freedom to decide and to do. And sometimes when I was not convinced, I was still tag along and go with them. While I knew probably the right startup guy, early stage, should just, in his best knowledge, decide what to do and stick to it. So maybe my future company, I will change that. But we have time. Let's go back to the roulette. So we do a quick spin. We're talking a lot, so we have to do it quickly. But I know we already. It's incredible. The first time that you pick the same topic twice, knowing when to quit. This is very cool. So I don't know if it happened in your career, but for example, it happened to me, and after 10 years, so not after day one, after quite a while, I realized that what I was really having fun with, which for example was building the business, going out, talking to customers, creating something new, I was not doing it anymore. I was mainly doing shareholders management. I was doing things that I would of course do because I was a CEO, but it wasn't exciting for me. And that was for me the trigger point that told me maybe now it's the time to hire a new CEO for the company. So I would step out and maybe hiring someone that would be liking those activities very much while I wasn't anymore. So did it happen to you that you started something and at a certain point you decided, okay, I want to do something else, or just quitting? What was the trigger for you when that happened?
I think that it's a very good question, and both in big and in small, you always have that. You have that obviously with your with any role you're doing, with any job. You also have this within a job with a project. You have invested, it doesn't go exactly as planned. So how much is your sunk cost? Do you want to carry on? I think especially probably in Europe, people have a tendency to stick longer than maybe would be wise. For example, with the very first company, I mean, we have sold it and it was pretty open for us to continue to stay or to leave. It was growing so fast and we were so young, so that we felt we should, maybe also because we have sold the company, but we felt we should get somebody else with a lot more experience. I mean, we were in our mid-20s and suddenly managing hundreds of people. Okay, and it was looking back, it was complete chaos. We had management meetings with 25 people because everybody who started as an intern and then suddenly they had C-levels. We had dozens of C-levels. It was in parts maybe even dysfunctional. So that was and when then we hired basically, or we helped our new shareholder to hire our own boss, or new boss. We learned a lot. Also, they are not necessarily agreed with everything because you also can do to corporate, but that was quite cool. So that, and then what you see oftentimes with startups or with founders is obviously you put so much energy into something, and you just want to continue. I remember one instance, I was invested as an angel, and he tried a certain company, but it didn't go anywhere. It was just really flat and not going anywhere. And after 2 or 3 years, actually the angel said, we love your kind of grit and how much you stay, but it's not going to work out. Please do something else with your life. You have put so much into it.
Wow.
We don't want to see you spending another 1 or 2 years on that. And then he wasn't taking any salary. He was still sleeping on an air mattress in a small shabby room. So I think even there, maybe it's an extreme example, and in the end, it's a question of allocation of oftentimes maybe of time, of capital, but also of your passion. Where do you draw kind of excitement, energy from?
Yeah.
And if that too long is not there, then I think but it's a super hard question. It's not easily answered.
I think no, you gave very very good example, and the example that you gave me about the angels that recommend they do something else. I think one sensation that in Europe entrepreneurs have, myself included, is that when we feel maybe we don't belong anymore, we still stick around because it's kind of that we owe it to the investors, we owe it to the people, and we don't think a lot about ourselves as individuals. While I think in North America, it is a lot easier that people just say, okay, just do something else. No? And it's also a lot more accepted by the community to see someone that quits and changes, does something new.
It's true. I mean, it's a thin line. It depends a little bit, because the other extreme is where people, I think, oftentimes quit too fast, is you have people with an amazing CV. And they have a background from a, like, I don't know, top consulting firm or top investment bank. And then they think it's cool to start a startup, and after half a year they figure out, oh, it's actually not. It's like you don't launch a company, and then like the 2 months later, you like, not every company obviously is a ChatGPT. So, and even that took many years. For sure. Or Twitter. Most of the companies, they are actually overnight successes made over 10 years. Sure. But there's a complete misperception in how fast things go. And then you have these, and that's why, for example, as an investor, oftentimes I'm quite, in a way, critical or ask a lot of questions. If people with amazing CVs go into areas where there's no clear story why that is that just because they think entrepreneurship would be a faster way to a Ferrari or a holiday home?
Yeah.
And then I've seen some of my biggest losses were with people with some of the most amazing CVs, because then after half a year they come and say, oh, my opportunity cost is so high.
From corporate to startup. That's very risky. Michael, it was fantastic. You really opened up. I got to know a fantastic person behind a great businessman.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the audience will do that as well. So thanks so much for joining the Roulette, and I hope to see you another time in my casino.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you want.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ciao.